Setting up time sectors of pi is recognition locations of reactor line setting. It's all recognition locations how you get you guys into your program locations. Now there's a 12 line setting in rotation of 12 million track line. That's locations in the 24 million set line calculation system in direct locations into 24 dimensional line setting. 12 line in rotation interference of the moon set is locations into a 24 dimensional set line kinetics system. 12 million sets, 24 million sets. 12th division, inline conditions of dimensional setting into 24 division into 24 dimensional setting. Humanity set position location, CPU, into VR set locations. All right. Channel operation streamline. So moon traction line condition operations signal line in positions of time reactor times pi. Recognition line connect high setting and position locations. We're going to change the moon sets, all humanity line interference and species line calculations into a new clocking setting. Okay. So it's kind of like using a slide projected location of future adaptation line interference. So after we set location to high setting, this is 60 seconds per channel operation of stream through block center. The rotation spin cycles are going to set up an add-on line rotation in position locations into nanoseconds. 60 seconds per channel operation line setting puts the species line in its position of 12 DNA into the moon line into 12 million units and set line connection high system into all set locations. All right. 12th dimensional line setting of DNA track to the moon set line position is going to fast track high calculations in acceleration. Time sequence times lines times pi. Recognition timeline and position of track line, everybody is going to be in position locations in set line conditions. All right. Team's going to be in 24. Okay. As species line is going to be in set location of VR and computer ground line rotation interference. The unity, the notification settings, the operation circle, the commanding rotation, interchange lines, interlace, interface. Setting direct line conditions all levels to moon set line position location is a 12 cycle, okay, through a clock line setting. So in that correlation system of its moon setting, it's going to be in position locations of 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. Your moon's going to be set up into this location simulation and species line calculations into its VR set in grounds of CPU set. Now, the team set location is going to be in a 24 dimensional line stream, setting position locations into set lines of 12 Stargate line setting. Nanotechnology setting position locations into 24 set symbols, setting track lines and set locations, puts all calculations in a nanotechnology in its 24 million stream set of clocking into 24, 48, 72, 144, and 244 set location. Okay. Speed anomaly in acceleration of nanosecond line setting. The shades and lights and shadows in set location is going to change the atmosphere line stream. Now, this is going to set up a barometer check line in set locations, the 98% line setting. Your moon goes from 98% to 107 Celsius and Fahrenheit. Line calculation line interference. We're going to change the track lines and high line interference, the clock line rotation interference, the pi recognition timelines and moon line rotations of 12 set locations and balance, and set lines into 24 balance and set location setting. Spacing line in position location and nanotechnology and team set location setting. Weather patterns in seasons and set locations of 1, 1, 1, and set line conditions in position locations of 1, 1, 12, and set locations of 1, 1, 3, and set locations of 1, 1, 4, and set location settings. 4 portal operation line conditions of all calculations of Starlinks. Setting direct signals and set line calculations to new modem, a new Wi-Fi, a new position location of its umbrella of set location settings into a new moon set and high interference and high track location in a satellite, in a probe location, in a computer, adaptation surface, in its rotation surface line conditions. Okay? All right. Getting ready on signal, my set location settings. We're in 25 signals. Okay? So security line position of Pluto, recognition of timeline, time sequence, all timelines all at once. There's going to be parables. Now, parabol line signals its position location of track line. This puts everything in position locations. All right, so we have code signal locations on fractions over line conditionalized system. All right, so go through Omega, go through line calculation setting, code signal line interference 007. Line condition of data line position of track line, high position locations into portal calculation gypsy. Line connection high line interference, high track location setting. Putting position location all levels and team set location nanotechnology line rotation. Sending direct signals and set position locations. All levels of channel operation streamlines. Code signals factor over pi. Recognition of 3-point the also line in set locations. Recognition of 2 set lines high position. So that's 3 lines into 2 lines into 1 set location. Okay. Setting position location into a triangulation set position. All right. So we center line interference. We set the 3 line into 6 position locations into its half pipe position location to its moon setting. There's the moon rotation surface. Now in that set line connection, high system comes into the sun. Sun sets on standby. Setting line position location into 1 over factor in triangulation line setting. Sets up a sail in set location setting. All right, there it is. It's all set up. Now, as the sail comes in line calculation set lines, it sets position location of track lines. Now, this puts position location in gravity reshift. Now, the gravity reshift fast forwards its line setting. Fast forward position locations into line conditions of 12. Setting line position location of 24. 24 sets lines into 48 channel. 72 track lines into 144. We circulate its rotation into dimensional line rotation setting in travel location setting interference. Setting direct signals in set location setting. In direct signal line interference, we take the sail, the digital frame, the digital core line interference, and sets position locations and perimeters in graph line streams in 3 set locations and 5 line channels. Operation streamline in set location system. Travel calculation line setting. All right, done through equation, fast recognition timelines. Lock and signal locations, right? So in the spacing line and position line condition of CPU and the VR line rotation interference, the moon is traveling locations into nanosecond line setting. 60 seconds per channel operation stream, 1 block setting in rotation surface, setting position of fast forward and position of track line, putting everything in position locations into 1,000 lines in position of 200 yards, 1,200 years in future set location, done by equation. Setting track lines and high center line and position locations at 24 measure, set lines and 24 dimensional lines interference. Setting track lines, fast forwarding position locations, 7 over pi. Recognition line conditions of 5 in position location equal line conditions of 1 setting, puts position location into 12 DNA track line conditions. In set location, moon is now set in line connection high setting into 2,400,000 years set locations in adaptations of nanotechnology at team set location, done by equation. Setting position of track lines in all operation. All right, it's all done. So you guys are already traveling line conditioning system. So we got line conditions into 1,200 years in the future setting. It's already done. Setting position into 2,400,000 line setting in nanotechnology team setting. Setting position locations into metaverse, line conditions of megaverse, universe line conditions, galactic force, intergalactic line setting, dimensional line layers, digital frame position location, code weaving, code action line conditionized system, code streaming, code line setting, putting track lines in high center interference, 24 dimensional line setting into 24 million set location, moon is all set. Setting position location at 12 line setting and DNA track line conditions into 12 million sets, and spacing line is now set, done by equation. Processing position of track line is all recognition of time setting. Now, it's already done. I had to do this at very fast in position line conditions. But in track lines, we have a new video graph line rotation spin, setting in 0 line rotation interference in track locations. So this is where we come into the moon line rotation, is now set locations and set lines at 1, 2, 0, 0. Okay? Into a new flux capacitor position locations into 2 console calculation. Now, the recognition line condition of the flux capacitor opens up position location to its pyramid setting into recognition location of its pi setting and its rotation surface, setting direct signals into 12 line setting into dimensional timeline and lock line sequence, setting line interference into 1 line position into 2 track locations, 0 operation, 0 ground setting location of 4 settings, 4 sets line position locations into line communication, setting 9 in channel, 9 line in position location of 3, in position of 6, in position of 9, in position of 12, and line conditions of 144 in track location in its diamond core line setting in its high setting location in its solar line communication setting. Rotation surface to a new ground into a new atmosphere line conditions You take the 1, 2, 0, 0 interact location to a new constellation path inline calculation system, all timeline sequence in clock line setting into 12, 24, 48, 72, and 140 track location, done by equation through set line conditions. All right, so in symbol, in traction, in reduction, is understanding line signals. Now the rotation spin line cycle sets position of traction. Now the open state locations, now we set line communication to pi recognition line setting. Okay, center correlation system and new pi line position of track line center location settings. Flywheel recognition lines of Fibonacci sequence and set location one way set locations, and the opposite system to the line position locations. So that brings in the 24 and line position of 48 into 72 into 144 and position locations into 244 set line conditions into 2 million channels in 400,000 years in set locations, done by equation. Recognition line setting, graph line stream, set position locations, all levels of a high center line position location. Future adaptation is here in calculation stream. Wow. Done by equation, right? So recognition timelines and high center and position location is all levels of set system. So your connections to your moon line settings and new clock line rotation interference, species lines to the VR line centers, the new computers, rotation into program units is now an acceleration line stream. Star links and set location high system. Your moon is now 12 million years in future calculation. Direct line setting comes in operation line interference of pre-activation code signals. Now the rotation surface and set location is 24-dimensional line setting. That's where nanotechnology line comes in position location to team setting line interference. That's 24 signal line connections high system, 12 DNA track lines, and 12 stargates. Recognition line communication system. So humanity line rotation interference of species line is in 6 track line connections of stargates, as position all levels of nanotechnology is in 12 stargate line settings. So setting position location, all levels of track locations. You're in 60 line settings, equal line communication, XT line 1, and set lines of 60 line settings in position locations per second per channel per hours per screen. Recognition line condition all levels. Fast forward position of track lines is already done through equation. 12 million sets in the moon set location of future adaptation line setting in position locations into pi recognition line conditions in all set system. Crop circles and line setting line interference is all in position of traction. 24 signals and line rotation interference of 24,000 ground setting is all in operation in your moon setting, putting everything in line in the locations and nanotechnology at team setting into 2,400,000 years in future calculation setting. Done by equation. All right, so we're tracking setting is recognition spin. All right, so we set up the frequency patterns, the recognition of Fibonacci swirl line center rotation interference to get your moon set position operation signal. It has to understand your DNA track line condition system. So in position location in line center, species line is in position locations 1,200 years in future setting, done through equation. That's already done. Setting track lines and high center locations into sunsets in position of sunrise and the rotation spin. The line communication system is in a rotation line setting. Okay, opposite circle line rotation interference. All travel position location is line connection high system. In rotations, in line rotation interference. The moon is now in location setting, coming in position location of track lines, trying to recognize the communication to its future adaptation surface. Done by equation. 12 line setting and line interference of GOD is now set position locations. The recognition time center is operation signal. This is where we come in a new clock line rotation. Now the clock line rotation is position of traction. We use the track line setting. So in position of species line is 6% location of phenomena. Line connect line interference location comes into position locations of 25 line settings of phenomena. The track lines into 2 position of measure sets lines into Pluto in 5 time sequence times calculation times pi. Over calculus line setting sets line position location to its lock system, activation, stream setting, operation, interface, line connections, moon setting, operation surface, in future adaptation surface line connection. Done by equation. All right. That's where we are through track locations now. It's all done. Okay, let's see, through team set line setting now, technology lines, team of locations. Let's see here. Lori, how's it going? I know you guys are going to want to go on soon. What's going on? What just happened? I just got in here, Trinity. Heather, I can't say data ops, Gypsy, line settings, all levels, position line traction. Let's get in line setting interference and direct locations. Lucky, how you doing? Captain, set line settings, high track locations, inline interference. Johnny, handle, setting location setting interference, line track location setting, position in all levels. Yeah, so it's amazing how we set these things up all in lock setting locations. The code line center and the line rotation interference is all set location. Wanda. All right, so it's all set up. It's all done. So new clock line rotation interference, moon set location into 6th position, right? Sun is in waiting signal and set locations, right? It's waiting on signal. So when it gets in waiting signal line interference, we come into another sail position location and track location setting. Okay. Waiting on position location into anomaly switch in rotation to a surface where the sun changes its position line directions to its capacity. See that? See its capacity setting? So the sun is waiting on signal to wait in position location to 8 line setting, 8 position, 8 line communication, and 8 rotation surface. Space over line setting of time position of pi. Line communication setting. So you're in 61 set locations into your moon into line calculation. Spacing line is now in line connection high system. 1200 line settings in set location of future adaptation system. Year's future location. Done by equation. Setting position of track line is 2 line connections, which is 2,400,000 lines a year in the future adaptation system. Technology set location of nano lines its communication into team set position of track lines into 24 dimensional setting. Okay, I told you the moon has to be in a certain pi recognition setting. Now position location is allocated position of time sequence. Line setting in operation to the moon is now in its own time reactor, a timeline setting. Okay, spacing line is in 12, 24, 48, 72, 144. Okay, the spacing line calculation system and nanotechnology of team setting line interference is now in position location ground lines into 24,000 line settings, 48,000 line connections and graph lines of frame settings, 72,000 computer line rotations into 144 crystal grid 1,000 line setting into 244,000 line communication. That's nano setting in position line track line connections. 2.4 million set lines of future adaptation line communication and rotation. Done by equation. It's all set up in track location. All right. So it's amazing how we set location. So it's waiting on the sun, which is an 80 setting, but you guys are only at 61. So you got the 60 line in operation to 1 position, which is pi recognition of setting, recognition locations, right? So your clock line setting is now 24,000 ground setting, 48,000 frame setting, 72,000 computer setting, and 144 crystal grid activation to 3 set locations into an line communication of 7 digital call setting. Recognition codes, frequency line connection, high system position attraction into Vega communication. Congratulations. Done by equation. All right. Woo! All right, so we got code signal locations now. It's ready for locations. Your moons are very happy now because in their future line settings. So we've got 12 line signals and set locations. So that's graph line, center line interference and 2 set locations into 3 set line settings. Okay, 2 line in position of 3. Okay, setting position of 2 plus 3 equal line conditions high system is 5. 5 plus set locations into triangle line setting sets position location into 6, 7, 8, and 9 and 12 set locations. Clocking line setting into 1, 2, 0, 0 in position of future adaptation. Wow. Right, so that's how the moon set up. Spacing line and CPU. VR sets and line communication and ground line rotation interference. Okay. Okay, so we got the 24 grounds. We got a connection line system of 0, 0, 0. and set locations, and bracket line connections of 3. Setting line communication into 48, bracket 30 line position locations. Area call line interference of 3/3 set location, right? 3/3 set locations. Now, inline interference brings it to line communication a higher line strip. See how it changed line communication lines? Remember, I did this on its own setting. All right, so that puts it into a 72 track location of computer operation signal location setting. So bringing in position locations, all level set rotation, comes into line setting, into all set location, into 144. 144 in 3 set line calculation lines in 144,000 line setting. Line communications put the center operation of clock lines into center positions of 244 set line calculation in future adaptation setting in nanotechnology location. Done by equation. It's all set up. So it's really interesting how we set these things. Okay. I showed you on so many powerful channel line streams where the moon has to be in a certain position line conditions. It's a 98 line setting in percentage line position locations, equal line conditions underscore of positions of pi, high center line position locations, in line conditions, equal line conditions to 107 in Fahrenheit position over Celsius calculation. Recognition line setting is all about understanding where your moon is set up in its 6-panel operation. Setting position of track line, weighting on symbol through location of sun, setting rotation interference, rotation surface and locations, in center line calculation setting. Right? So setting position location of the moon, setting position location of the sun, in set locations. Right? Down by equation. So the moon's all set up in rotation setting, which means that now your sunrise and your sunset, your time zones are going to change. Fast track line condition of 60 seconds per line. That per line is per channel operational line setting. The rotation spin cycle sets line calculation. Moon sets line positions into 1/2 over line setting of 0/0 gravity line rotation in its interference position of channel. The operational line setting sets Fibonacci swirls and rotation surface one way and the other way, where it brings it all together line calculation system. So the moon is set up now, okay, into 12 million dimensional lines of vortex communication. The moon has to be traveling extremely faster than species line calculation, okay? So as it's set up in position of its own geometric operation of its design, it understands its 12 signals patterns, which is connected to energetic pattern line position locations of Vega and digital code line in the algorithm program location of computer adaptation line setting in position to its VR set, to its computer ground rotation, center position of all operation signals. And same thing with the location of nanotechnology setting, 24th dimension, 2.4 million set lines in future adaptation location. Okay. So that's 24,000 line settings of pi with the team. Okay. And that's only 24 pieces of pi with spacing line because they don't understand the recognition line connections in technology yet in surface. The center line position location of time zone, time sequence is all about understanding how to track your positions into your GPS lock setting. The rotation spin cycle sets a line calculation, line interference in direct location setting in rotation surface. So time sequencing line calculation setting. So we're fast tracking high center locations now. We're speeding anomalies to moonset line interference into 1200, which is all set locations. Future adaptation line setting is already set out locations, 1,200 years in future setting. Done. Okay. So that's where all calculation is in now line setting of your time zone line frequency. Changing factors line calculation line interference puts everybody in time sequentially in time lines in one cycle. One cycle, 2 rotations. Okay. One cycle, 2 rotations. That's what we're coming into, right? Through the moon. Now, as the moon is set up, it understands its 1200 line rotation interference now because the 12 DNA track lines changes GOD. The recognition line setting line interference is set positions. Here's the sun and set locations. Here's your moon and rotation surface. Okay. Setting position location of track lines in high setting. Okay. Recognition line interference sets position locations into panels and wall line and positions into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and set locations. So that's 5 lines of sales and set line communications into 2 channels, equal line conditions of 5 and recognition of positions, lines its position line condition of circle line rotations into 25 set positions in percentage over pi in phenomenal line connections. Done by equation. So setting line interference. See the intelligent location? Right? So this is how we change position locations, recognizing your set location and future adaptation locations. Your moon has to be faster than your set locations. Your sun has to be light signatures in recognition of acceleration. Time sequence line communication system is all levels of future adaptation line setting. Okay, but that's how you set up position locations and set locations to your sun and your moon. Your sun is on standby, but your moon is in operation. Okay, in 61 track locations, in 25% phenomenal setting. Okay, setting direct line setting and line interference. A spacing line calculation system is a VR set line. Okay, in CPU center rotation set location setting. Right, rotation into position to flux capacitor line change. Lines of zero gravity line rotations. Console calculation setting, if Fibonacci one way in set location another atom, and another Fibonacci another way line interference comes into this position location calculations. Right, center line interference of one orb channel and rotation surface. Setting new line grounds of one graph line center line interference of 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 line settings. That's 4 over pi in set location setting and line condition of 6. Now the 6th line in a half pipe sets position locations into its moon set, standing by on its sun location. Done by equation. Right? So that's how it's set up location of your moon. All right, so recognition line communication system. Each clocking of the moon has to be in a certain frequency. The moon has to be in a certain line of calculation. Same with the sun, but you're starting with your moon because that's where you are through 60. Open through signal and activated through line setting. Okay, so really understand the position location of its grounds, of its opening, of its division. Going to higher line calculation setting of GOD and metric setting location and scales puts position locations into its geographical operation of its direction, of its design, of its illustration, of its program. Setting position locations is line calculation system when you come into higher levels and track locations. All right. So into that geometry line interference, the geometric patterns and position operation to its opening opens all track line conditions to its division of its direction, of its design. Your moon is set up now. Okay. And future adaptation. Live in all signals line calculation of its featured line position. Okay. Center line position locations in this line calculations. Okay. So the clock line is all set up on position of 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. Setting position track lines, setting line communications into 1, 2, 0, 0, and set locations. And there it is in spacing line calculation. That's how the clock is set up now in your moments. All right, so that's spacing line in computer. Program location unit line is the VR set. Now the VR set line is position pre-activation line setting. Moon operation signal locations. The 144 sets line communication higher line interference, sets line communication another dimensional line rotation interference, line position attraction. So the moon can travel to anywhere it wants in its 12 divisional line condition, which is 12 dimensional line setting and high interference of 6 Stargate line calculation settings into 12 needed patterns. Rotation spin surface line position locations into dimensional time of space in recognition line conditions, because your moon has to travel and get to know its own system and track location before it gets into spacing line, into anomaly line switch and line interference into 1200 years in future adaptation. Done by equation. All right. So setting direct line signals. Okay. Now, setting direct locations into moon setting in 6 position locations, all level setting. Setting rotation of clock line rotations comes in position location into yin and yang setting. Rotation surface, rotation setting. Setting position of triangular line setting, line rotation interference, track locations into pi set lines into another sail position. Setting direct line setting into nanotech line interference sets position locations. 24 line setting, 48 window line calculations, 72 track lines, 144 and 244 set locations, puts 2 million in position of 4 in line setting into 0, track locations. 2,400,000 lines of future line connections in years in set location setting in nanotechnology location. Done by equation. All set up. Your moons. Okay? It's all done. That's it. So this is probably the most powerful video that you're going to watch to really understand everything is all set up through timelines, time zones, time sectors, times pi, time division, time calculations, time over pi, recognition, line connection, high setting, indirect location setting, all through equation. Okay? Future adaptation line and rotation interference. You guys are now in 24,000 grounds, 48,000 windows, 72,000 computer sets into 144 track location settings, 100,000 line setting and rotation interference. This puts position location track lines into 1-1, 112, 113, and 114 inline connection high setting, waiting on signal for sun and rotation surface and pi recognition line connection, light signature line communication system into track location, a hologram line of illustration program location. The holographic world of TV reception. Multi-pass. Okay? So, how was that for his excursion? Yeah, it's epic, isn't it? Yes, it is. T reception lines, digital plasma lines are all set at location HD line setting. Setting the line interference set locations to new Wi-Fi and new monoline rotation and position of track lines. 1200 line rotation and set locations into SPACETIMECREATER line, which is set locations into 24 dimensional line rotation interference, setting position locations into 2,400,000 line centered foundation graph lines and nanotechnology set locations. Put you guys in the ground line center line interference line track location system. SPACETIMECREATER line has to really understand the stargates of set locations, right? Because it's all calculated and modified how you use your flux capacitor line conditions. Through your sets, through your divisions, everything through operation of circulation rotations, position locations, Fibonacci one way, Fibonacci the other way, flowing recognition lines of DNA track location system into your position of your track line rotation surface, into all clock line settings and position to your moon set location. All right. It's all done. Woo! And we did it in 32 line settings in 54 seconds. 21 signatures and 7 line setting. What is 7? Favorite number. Is that coincidence? Thumbs up? No, because it would have been 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, but it's 7 because that's my favorite number. So I know. Try to understand what just happened. Okay. Just fast forwarding line calculation settings. 60 seconds per channel per operation nanosecond line connection system. 1 minute per square. Okay. So futures line connection high setting interference. Your moon has to be in a certain division of dimension to travel. You understand that? So every time you look at your moon now, you're going to see the shapes anomaly of its future adaptation of a clock line system of pi. Okay, in its percentage of the phenomenon, in its percentage location, and in its percentage location line connection of its avatar through its hologram sets location. Right? Indirect signals, simulation, and track location to simulation. 12 in signal, 24 in line. 12 in signal, 24 in line. Okay? All calculation timelines of times pi. All in set location. In position. Okay? Analyzing, filling the bottom code set to the top. Yeah. Flow patterns, harmonics, reports, stable. Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah. But, you know, it's more balanced now with your set location sites because your moon is now in operation. So you just have to understand the moon has to be in a certain line in future adaptation set locations. All right. So remember, it's not the body line, it's the mind of its system. Where it is in product line interference. It's in harmonics pattern, it's in recognition location of space and time. right? 1200 line setting location in position of future setting. Okay, nanotechnology at team setting is 2,400,000 years in future adaptation of operation. And that's it, done. All right, so I know you guys have a lot of questions. I'll give you guys 5-10 minutes. I will see you on Zoom. Adios.